Redditors who were born deaf. Do subtitles like dogs barking and tense music help even if you've never heard them? What do you imagine them to be like? I'm deaf and it helps. I haven't heard a dog bark, but I understand why a dog barks and combine that with the body language of a dog and the scene makes more sense. Do you have an opinion on what is music? I can wrap my head on how I would try to imagine what music sound like if I never heard anything in my life. Music is like the tactile vibrations you feel on your fingers. Except it has color, warmth, and depth. Yes, they help. Movies, TV shows, games, etc. use sound to convey emotions or danger or information and so on. By not subtitling those, deaf people miss out on a lot. I was playing the Fable franchise recently. And apparently there's gargoyles in the game that insult you and goad you into shooting them or something. I would have never known if I hadn't read about it. Because those insults aren't subtitled. I didn't even know gargoyles were a thing until I was nearly done with Fable 2. To answer your question, I don't imagine them as sounds. That's impossible to do. I imagine the emotions they were meant to convey. Dogs barking means there's something disturbing them. Tense music means shit is getting real. Other things like phone rings tells us what noise the people in the scene are responding to. Subtitling everything 100% helps. I'm deaf. It definitely brings the story to life. Deaf people are incredibly visual. We want as much information as possible. If the storyteller is insisting on certain sounds or music to evoke feelings, then I would also like to know and have those feelings, too. What's crazy is while I read your comment, I hear my voice in my head reading the words you wrote. I don't suppose that works for you at all, does it? I'm not trying to be ignorant, I'm just curious. Also, I can't help but feel sad at your comment because I never realized how someone might feel left out over things I never think to consider. I'm deaf and it helps in certain contexts. If it's just a shot of a farm and it says dog barking, it's out of context, so it's like whatever. But if it says dog barking to warn the person, it definitely helps in that context. It also depends on how good the subtitles are. Netflix is superb at doing subtitles, but cable TV is that good, so by the time the subtitles come up it's already a different scene or different convo. I love Netflix's awesome subtitles. My auditory processing and listening comprehension suck, so I prefer TV and movies with subtitles. Netflix is way better than most. My old friend's mom was deaf. I asked her once and she kinda shrugged and said, I imagine ominous music to be like when my kids sneak up on me. I used to work in subtitling and both my parents are completely deaf, so I know a bit about this. Subtitles like dog barking do help as they are usually included if they are plot relevant. Hence they can follow it better. And understand why someone looked up from their book in the show or whatever. Tense music, and the like does not really help much beyond telling them the mood of the scene. As they have no real conception of what sound is. Which answers your second question. My mum compares it to trying to explain color to a blind person. The things that confuse me most is when it says something like, Vivaldi's Mandolin Concerto plays, that's so useless even compared to tense music plays. I actually like this as a partially hearing person because I like immediately being able to identify a piece I think I might know but I'm not sure. Or if I want to know the name of a song I just discovered. Or name of a song I didn't know the name of at all. I'm moderately hearing impaired, but not deaf, so this doesn't quite answer your question, but I thought I'd chime in. I really appreciate these kinds of subtitles, as they can add context and help communicate something non-visual that the show or movie creator wanted the audience to pick up on. The sound of a dog barking may be the only hint they give that a family owns a dog, which becomes a plot point later. Tense music can prime the audience to be on edge despite a scene otherwise seeming calm and relaxed. Mad respect to whoever's in charge of Netflix's subtitles. Because they are absolutely top-notch. Like if you have a character sitting in the kitchen reading a book. And suddenly they yell shut up. It would have been nice if the subtitles had dogs barking beforehand. Deaf person here. These types of subtitles help set the mood and provide some sort of foreshadowing to events that might occur. For example, when watching a horror movie, a hearing person might leave as a cue once they hear eerie music. As a deaf person who's not a huge fan of horror movies, I cannot tell you how many times I'm so grateful for subtitles like that. Think of it like constant jump scares. I've been wondering this lately also. I started using closed captions so I don't have to have the TV volume blasting all the time. And now I'm addicted to closed captions. Indistinct chatter. I know, right? There's something about subtitles that takes the pressure off of watching TV, and I don't have to miss any dialogue because the music is too loud. I have the problem that my eyes are subconsciously drawn to the subtitles because they have a high contrast, and I miss a lot of what's going on screen because I stare at the subs all the time. Hi. I'm deaf, but I actually knows what they sound like. I listens through vibrations. Like Toph did with her earth bending in Atla, so I know most of basic sounds, and I always appreciate seeing subtitles like those examples for contexts. 'Cause it can be harder for me to decipher sounds from the television. Do you ever just lay your head on a table, turn up the speakers super high and play back a bunch of different sound effects off YouTube? Like, this is what the vibration of a dog bark feels like. This is a car horn. This is what a boner sounds like. Different music, etc. Lol, no. I know it through growing up and analyzing stuff. Vibrations comes from everywhere. But yes, that how vibrations feel like on table. I only can understand and identify loud noises such as fire truck, dog barking, party music, and etc. Anything lower is hard to decipher unless very close contact with clear context, but I can sense noises and know something's up. Cannot sense low noises such as boner. I have no idea it actually make a noise, lol, and I cannot understand spoken languages. It's all blurred due to the fact that I never learnt one. Only ASL and written English. My step-brother is deaf, and he tells me that when stuff comes on TV like that, he will look it up online and feel the vibrations so that he can understand what means. I wear bilateral cochlear implants, so I don't think I completely qualify to answer, but I will say that sometimes I miss important details in the sounds and music in TV shows and movies. And it does really help to set the tone of the movie for me and understand things I wouldn't otherwise if I hadn't heard the specific thing. I read on Reddit once before, deaf people don't even realize erections make a noise. I've mentioned this on Reddit before. I was allowed to stay the night at my high school boyfriend's house, but we had to sleep in different rooms. So I would sleep on the top bunk of his bed and he would sleep on the sofa. Anyway, the important part is that his little bro is deaf. He was about junior high age. The first time I stayed the night, something woke me up. Turns out little bro on the bed under me was vigorously rubbing one out, and he didn't seem to know that he was making noise and that it might wake me up. Even though I've never known what the sound is like. At least I can imagine some sort of sound that a dog would make. It still helps me understand what is going on in the movie. There was an old PSA TV commercial a while back that I wish I could find, but it showed the same scene just panning a kitchen with light streaming in, I think. They played it once with ominous music and again with happy morning music. There might have also been one with a rainforest scene with the same idea. It was to raise awareness about how important good captions are, and it did a good job of conveying how much could be lost if it doesn't include some of that info when it's important. It may provide helpful context. Like if said noise is relevant to the plot even if they don't know what it sounds like. It may help with overall comprehension of the storyline to know that at this time a dog barked.